KC Laboratory. Sponsored by Emprise Bank.
It's the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank. You can drive to a brick and mortar bank location, or you can bank from the comfort of your own home. Who you do business with is more important than where they're located. I choose to do my business with Emprise Bank, and you should too. They have all the tools to give you a phenomenal banking experience wherever you live. They are helping with the KCSN Draft Guide. They are, it's been wonderful partnering with them, our partner impossible here at KC Sports Network. Really excited to be talking to my buddies today. They're not dorks. They're wonderful humans. Find them on Twitter at Matty_KCSN. Matthew Lane, dear pal, I'm going to butter you up this time.
Do you think I need you to defend me? What is this? Can I not stand up for myself, Kent? Goodness. This is ridiculous. First you call me a dork. Now you come to fight my battles for me like I'm somehow lesser than you just because you got back from vacation this week. Okay, I get it, Hollywood. That's okay. Now, Craig, you got to do this. I'm about to be out of you. You got to take over.
Okay, man. I'll take over. I'm just going to shoot from the hip this entire episode on everything that we're going to talk about. I'm just going to wildly predict players in positions that they have no business being in, especially in the first round. So get ready for this mock draft that we got coming up for you.
Now, Craig,
yeah, we're going to do
why is there a whiteboard behind you with numbers?
There's whiteboard. I'm going to listen. Every time we do one of these mock drafts, we hear from people in the comments. They say things like, oh man, wish there was some way that there was, the player names, the players that you picked up there. Guess what, guys? They're going up here. So you'll see them as the episode goes along in my terrible handwriting up here behind me. So if you forget who the Chiefs have drafted, or if you just want a random recap at some point of the episode, it will just slowly populate through here. So keep an eye on that.
And if you are listening audio only, you will not be able to find that. And it will not be in the
it's right there.
It won't be in the descriptions. What will be in descriptions is a link to the KCSN Draft Guide if you would like to purchase that, because it's out. It's been out for a week. This is like the 1 week anniversary of it releasing. If you would like to purchase 300 pages of Chiefs-specific draft content, you can click the link below in the description of this podcast, this YouTube video, or just go to gum.co/KCSN22. So, what we're going to do today, we want to do a full Chiefs 7-round mock draft. We are not doing trades today. We are going to do 12 picks today.
Well, really only 8 because the last 4 don't count.
They count. They're on the board. They're right here, right behind me. They're
not if you slide slightly to your left.
Oh,
they're
okay.
good. We're making 6 picks today. Yeah. Well, we're making 7. You didn't.
Man, that's how Brett Veach is going to make that happen, isn't he? He's just going to slide a little bit over.
He's just going to put Craig in front of him.
Can I share with you guys? Can I share with you guys my strategy for this mock draft? It's to draft the players with the most difficult names to spell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and Craig's got to pronounce them right. I was listening back. Craig calls it Thibodeau. Kayvon Thibodeau. It's Thibodeau.
It's Thibodeau.
It's Thibodeau.
Tabata. Papados. All right, let's get going.
This is going well.
We're at pick 29 for the Kansas City Chiefs. There's some interesting players on the board. You got Kyer Elam out of Florida, the cornerback. You got Daxton Hill, the safety. Lewis Seen, the safety out of Georgia. Treylon Burks, wide receiver out of Arkansas. Boye Mafe, the edge out of Minnesota. Dave Ojabo, the guy we keep talking about out of Michigan, the guy with the torn Achilles. Value here potentially. There's some good players on the board here, guys. I'm pretty sure George Pickens is on the board too. So, what are we thinking here? Where are we going? What's on your mind here, boys?
Well, this is the only unfortunate thing about doing enough mock drafts is you kind of know how these things generally play out, and so you're always going to have essentially this same general look is what's going to come from most mock draft machines when you get to the Chiefs pick, right? And that's not a bad thing. It's just I don't want to get over repetitive by constantly mock drafting the same guys over and over again to the Chiefs. So I'm gonna suggest a slight mix-up on something that I think could be pretty realistic come draft day. Let's say the wide receivers came off the board a little bit faster. Let's say they did. Let's say that Treylon Burks is off the board. Let's say George Pickens gets drafted where he should. And instead, I don't know what's left in this mock draft, but we're just going to pretend those guys are off the board just for the sake of this for a second. You're deciding between Jahan Dotson and Sky Moore as your best wide receiver, and Christian Watson is your best wide receivers left. Does any of those guys tickle your fancy at pick 29, or would you rather wait and try to sort that out later?
I would personally rather wait and sort that out later. We talked about the tiers of the wide receivers a little bit in some previous episodes. We've got plenty of wide receiver conversation if you want to find out our kind of details on all these guys. At that point, I feel like the value isn't at its strongest right there. So I would almost rather go with one of these defensive backs that's there, whether that's, a Scene or a Daxton Hill or a Jalen Petrie, even at the safety position, or maybe a Kaiir Elam if you really feel comfortable. Is Andrew Booth still on the board, or did he get drafted already, Kent? Because
he gone.
Okay. And I was going to say there's a potential with him with medicals to be there as well. I think that the value of those guys outweighs the value at the wide receiver position in those. So I would lean defensive back in that scenario if I'm making a choice between wide receiver or defensive back.
But I'm cool with Lewis Scene if we want to go there at 29, but we have another pick to sort out in here too. So I still present the same Sky Moore question. I would assume you could follow it up with the Kaiir Elam. You could also go to the defensive end position, maybe defensive tackles. Like, where's your mind at with this right now, Kent?
Actually, I think I'd probably consider Sky Moore here with one of those first round picks, if I'm being honest, because you're looking at the run going off. If some of these guys, we're talking about Treylon Burks being off the board, and I'm staring at Jahan Dotson, Sky Moore, and I don't remember who else you said, but
Christian Watson.
I'm Christian Watson. Yeah, I think I'm rolling with Sky Moore because I'm worried. I mean, it sounds like the value at wide receivers falling quick. This is one of those kind of, I don't want to say it's a doomsday scenario, but it's a pretty bad scenario for this team. My only counterpoint is if this scenario does present itself, Andrew Booth's probably on the board when the Chiefs pick at 29, somebody like that. But in this scenario, I'm good with a Lewis Scene to start the draft. I think making him the quote unquote face of your draft. I like that. And then going and backing up with Sky Moore out of Western Michigan at the receiver spot. Those are the moves. I love both of those moves. I don't know how if you guys have any other ideas here, but I like that start.
Listen, that's two of my guys from the KCSN draft guide. So I'm certainly not going to complain about this.
I think Maddie is secretly just trying to sway this whole conversation to us drafting all of his my guys.
Never.
I mean,
the Chiefs are having them all visit.
It's true they are. Let's just bring this up real quick. Sky Moore, early on here with the group of receivers that the Chiefs have right now. It's not to say that he's not, doesn't factor in a big way going forward here, but in the group of receivers that they have right now, where do you see him fitting in? Is it the slot? Is he going to be a guy that's going to operate out of the slot early? Are you essentially drafting a slot receiver? And, maybe that's his floor. That's still a quality player. As much as the Chiefs use 11 personnel, he's going to be on the field plenty, but is that a guy that you're willing to spend a first round draft pick on if you see him as more of a slot player?
So why I would entertain Sky Moore and why I even brought this up is, yes, he's short, but at 191 pounds, he's not small, right? So I think you look at this Chiefs wide receiver group, they have their slots with Juju Smith-Schuster and McCole Hardman. They have one outside receiver, and MVS isn't necessarily your possession X receiver, but he also mostly runs routes on the vertical route plane, which is a lot of what an X receiver does. Your X receiver isn't stretching the field horizontally a ton. So he can play your X in this Andy Reid offense. You're looking at needing a Z in this potential scenario. I think Sky Moore would come in. He's your best or second best receiver at getting off the line of scrimmage immediately. I mean, he's better than McCole Hardman is right now in terms of beating a press or beating a guy off the line of scrimmage. Juju's always been best in the slot. I think you put Sky Moore, you let him play as your Z a little bit. He can go back inside. And then as far as actual usage, he's never going to be Tyreek Hill. He's a similar build, but he's never going to be Tyreek Hill. He's not as fast. He's not as agile. He's not that. But I do think that he can run a lot of those same routes. You're looking for someone to replace Tyreek Hill's usage in RPOs, those slants, those little quick outs to the flat. That's Sky Moore's bread and butter. That's literally all he did at Western Michigan. You want to have him stretch the field on a deep post, a deep over route. These are things that he does really, really well. And then when you do get him isolated one-on-one, you can let him actually take advantage of those matchups. Like, I think he can replace, 75% of what you asked Tyreek Hill to do. Not as good, but he can take over a lot of that role better than a Hardman or a Juju Smith-Schuster might be able to.
Well, and I'll even add, so there's nothing traditional about the Chiefs' X wide receiver these days.
No.
I mean, the way that the Chiefs run their offense, you're going to see him. Your X receiver is going to be stacked into a bunch anyway. He's going to be lined up all over the place. And Andy Reid, one of the things they talk about, and part of the reason that Andy Reid's offense is so difficult for rookies to learn is because they have to learn a lot of different positions. I think Sky Moore can operate in a lot of different areas, and so I love the idea of that. So,
I'm on board.
With the first pick, or with the 29th pick in the 2022 NFL draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Lewis Cine, safety out of Georgia.
Look at that handwriting.
That's beautiful, Craig. I mean, the audio-only listeners are just loving this riveting conversation. And then they back that up with wide receiver Sky Moore out of Western Michigan. So real quick, Maddie, let's just talk here real quick a little bit. Your boy Lewis Cine, we spent a lot of time on him. Another one of my guys. I think the move to make him the face of your defense, or your face of your draft, makes a lot of sense. I know some people are really clamoring for Daxton Hill in this scenario. If Bearcat's listening, who's a little bit more of a slot corner type, but I think Lewis Cine's a guy that you're going to be thrilled with having on your roster, for the next decade.
You want to know how this works? Just go look at the Buffalo Bills secondary or the Green Bay Packers secondary. You're looking at combos of Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, or Darnell Savage and Adrian Amos. These are all four of these guys do a little bit of everything. Yeah, they might specialize in one area slightly more, but they're all capable of doing everything. Putting Lewis Cine with Justin Reid, that's exactly what you're doing. You're taking two guys that maybe Reid's a little bit better playing deeper in coverage rather than up in box. Maybe Cine's a little bit better running the alley or playing in the box and playing deep, but they're very interchangeable. Lewis Cine also has great length. You want to have him go jump in the slot against a tight end at his size, he can do it. You want to use that lengthened zone out of the slot, it'll work. Same for Justin Reid. Then you still have Juan Thornhill operating as a third safety, as your kind of pure cover guy. Guess who played cornerback in college relatively well? Juan Thornhill. It's like there's a lot of versatility he brings. So I get the desire for Daxton Hill. I just think Lewis Cine brings a different level of IQ that's not necessarily there, and allows you to be a little bit more flexible and versatile between all of your different positions.
And that's the part that I think people get hung up on. Daxton Hill very clearly can play in the slot. He has done so at a high level, and he's done so very well. So people immediately see that and say, oh, I remember 2019 when the Chiefs used Tyrann Mathieu there and how well that worked. And I totally get it. I understand. I'm not mad at Daxton Hill here, but Lewis Cine, Juan Thornhill, and Justin Reid give you some ridiculous flexibility. Like those three can, take the field together in the nickel, and you don't know who's going to be where. You don't know where you're going to be able to target. We've seen times where the Chiefs are, a little locked into certain things that they're doing. Tyrann Mathieu is patrolling the middle of the field, and he does it really well, but you largely know that he's not going to be your deep guy. You largely know that, Dan Sorensen in the dime is going to be in the box. He's not going to be a deep guy. These three allow you flexibility, versatility, and allow you to run a whole different combination of things. Plus, they're all quality, explosive players that can blitz from the slot, that can blitz from deep. Like Steve Spagnuolo would be able to utilize those three guys in a rotating methodology that would be very confusing for offenses. So even though it just seems like the ideal fit of a guy that just can line up and can always play in the slot, the way that the NFL is going, so many of those things, there are guys that are defending the slot from deep and coming downhill. These guys can definitely do that. It's where the NFL is kind of going. So it makes sense to have three guys that can do everything at a high level. This is not just like a jack of all trades thing. At a high level, can do a little bit of everything and be successful. That makes for a very difficult defense to throw against.
All right, let's move on to Friday. of this draft, and the Chiefs got that mid-second round pick from Miami as part of the Tyreek Hill trade. We've already taken receiver. I think we've got to look at defense again. Edge. I mean, we took safety. We took the best player on the board with Lewis Seen. Edge, cornerback, I think are two positions we got to take a heavy look at. I'm looking at a couple.
I would also
guys.
say D tackle. I think and we'll read those first, but let's see. I want to see the value at defensive tackle after we look at those.
All right, we are going to look at defense. Or we're going to look at edge first. We're going to go. You got Logan Hall, which I don't think Logan Hall will be there. Josh, and he doesn't fit. He's more of an interior guy. Josh Pascal out of Kentucky. Drake Jackson out of USC, another guy worth kind of taking a look at here. Cornerback, we got Tariq Woolen is available. You've got Martin Emerson available. A couple guys that we have pretty well regarded around this range. And then we'll look at interior defensive line. You've got Zachary Carter, Fadarian Mathis. Those are going to be more of like your penetrating interior players. So I don't really know if there's great value, like a lot of, interior penetrators kind of at the interior defensive line. I think you're kind of looking at a guy like Tariq Woolen, Martin Emerson, Drake Jackson, and Josh Pascal. I think that's the group there, Maddie. What do you think?
Yeah, that's not a great pick 50. This is about where I think the draft really falls off. And I think this situation here that we're looking at really shows that, because that's so Drake Jackson's interesting because the athletic profile shows the sky's the limit. But when you go throw on the film, I don't think that athleticism has translated to the field a single time in the past 3 years. And I get it. USC's coaching staff has been terrible, but you're literally looking for 2 to 3 plays a game that showcase his ability to be a high-end player. So like taking that at 50, I mean, off of literally 2 to 3 plays a game, that's a long step for me. Pascal, on the other hand, a lot more consistent. You know what you're going to get with him. It's just the upside's nowhere near the same. I don't love either at 50. I think I'd rather have either one at 62, but I don't know if they're going to be there. And same thing with corner. I think Tariq Woolen, to feel safe, I would take him at 50, and I don't like that pick either. Like, I don't know. I'm stumped right here, Craig. If this is what I was looking at 50, I honestly would look to trade back 5-6 spots and see if there was somebody loved, because I don't like the value of any of these players that we're talking about.
No, at this point, if you're drafting for like best player available sort of thing, you're probably looking at linebacker or offensive line, I'm guessing, just based on the way the guys that are left on the board here.
On that, is Tyler Smith available? Offensive tackle out of Tulsa. If he's available at 50, I would go that route. Nope. Okay. Well,
not available.
See, this is a bad, this is a way it could shake out in a bad way for it.
Can I be honest? I love this. I love that we're in this situation right now, because this is probably more realistic than, look, hey, every player that we love just fell.
Everything fell the Chiefs' way. Yeah, exactly.
Make it a little bit harder. It's good.
I like Tariq Woolen as a project. Tariq Woolen's not a guy that you're going to put on the field and go, hey, you're going to be great day one. You're going to take care of the boundary day one. Like, I know that the ceiling is massive. I mean, he's a tier 1 dude. Your chances of him being a contributor in his rookie contract are significant, which I'm willing to take that gamble on a guy. It's just 50 when you've got the holes that you have and you don't have the defensive line basically help that you do. It almost, I hate to say this, but I'd almost rather invest in the defensive line at this point than I would trying to take a stab on a corner that I can pretty much say is going to be not a redshirt year out of him, but it's going to take a while for him to come up. So I don't know. I'm open to whatever. I think that just with the space on the defensive line as it stands right now, I'm not willing to take that gamble at this point.
I think I agree, Craig. I think you got to try to take a swing along the defensive line and make sure you secure somebody up front. And I know the interior group doesn't look great. The edge, if you told me the Chiefs took Josh Pascal out of Kentucky, or if you told me that the Chiefs took Drake Jackson out of USC at edge, I think I'd be okay at 50. I mean, it's not going to be my favorite pick necessarily, but I'm going to understand both of them, especially the way the board's playing right now here. So I think we should go defensive line. I think we should go edge here. Maddie, I'm going to let you pick, though, because I know you're not happy. But I'm gonna make you pick between Josh Paschal and Drake Jackson.
Okay, I was gonna throw one other scenario out, and it can be a quick yes or no. Was Dotson or Watson still available at wide receiver to double dip right off the top? Specifically Watson. I don't care about Dotson to pair with Sky Moore. I think that's kind of redundant.
No.
Okay, that's fine. That was my only thing, and I wouldn't love doing.
Apparently, 70 players have been taken in the top 50.
That's what it seems like, right? A good lord. All right, in a different world would probably take Drake Jackson over Zach Pascal, but I'm gonna go with Zach. I would say Zach Pascal out of Kentucky here. I think the safety net of knowing that he can come in and play on day one, the fact that he can do it right now, and the fact that Craig has to look up how to spell his name is bonus points.
Well, I it took me a second because his name is Josh, but we're calling him Zach.
Yeah, that's okay. I just wanted.
Did I say Zach Pascal or did you?
I at least did. You may have too. It's Josh.
I might have
Josh
too
Pascal.
because he's that receiver out of he's the receiver out of the Colts. Yeah, it's Josh Pascal.
Yeah. So Josh Pascal out of Kentucky. He's technically a low fit for Steve Spagnuolo, but he's a low fit by literally half an inch, to which you can easily round that up. And he's a low fit by like 1/8 of an inch on arm length. And the combine has been low on everyone's arm length. So the way he plays, good run defender, inside, outside flexibility. I say you take him at 50 and you look for your upside edge a little bit later in the draft, because I actually do think there's a couple nice project defensive ends that you can have later on day two that you may not be able to get this safe day one starter. And Pascal does bring you that.
Question, and just throwing this to the both of you here, would you rather take Paschal here at 50 versus Karlaftis at 29?
Paschal?
It's spelled like Paschal. I know it's Pascal.
I know, but
been
we've been saying Pascal this whole time, and then you just go and do
We were also saying Zach, so
yeah. But would you rather
Paschal.
take him at 50 or George Karlaftis in a small trade up? Because I don't think he's going to be available at 29. Let's say the early 20s, and you have to give up an asset for him. Karlaftis is clearly the better player, but we're talking higher floor type of guys here.
Are you ready for this? Karlaftis in the trade up. And I think I started like a little bit of the Chiefs Kingdom disdain for George Karlaftis, and I think it's gone too far now. I think if you get Karlaftis at pick 29 or 30, you should be ecstatic as a Chiefs fan. I think if the Chiefs trade up, if the Chiefs even trade up using just a 4th round pick, I think you should still feel good. Much more than that, I get the concern because I do think it's a little bit riskier. But Karlaftis has an idea of how to rush the passer. Pascal just kind of explodes into blockers and hopes it wins, and it does at times. But like, he doesn't have a ton of a plan, nor did he get many options in that Kentucky defense. So I think Karlaftis is better as a pass rusher on day one with a much higher ceiling, although Pascal's ability as a run defender is clearly superior than Karlaftis. Like, that's where I am. I would rather trade up for Georgie.
Pick 121 will get you up to about pick 25. Maybe Buffalo's interested in moving him back a little bit. Pick 103, the Ryan Poles pick will get you up to about 24. It'll get you up to about 24. So you gotta give a sizable investment to get much past that, or you're loading up a couple picks to make it work. So just something to kind of keep an eye there. I don't want the Chiefs to spend too much to move up for Karlaftis, but I'm very content with them at 29. That's kind of where I've kind of arrived. I'm good with them at 29. Okay, so we're sitting here, and the Chiefs are now at pick 62. They have addressed safety, and just so you know, a part of this cascading issue that we're seeing is paying for the sins of drafting the best player available in the draft, Lewis Cine. All right, for where the Chiefs were sitting. So like, I think that's part of it. Is like you're
still cool with it. Still completely cool with it.
I'm not, but I'm just saying, like, the way you're having to kind of cringe a little bit at the idea of taking Josh Paschal at pick 50 is because you got a dude at safety, and having him and Justin Reed in your secondary, where the Chiefs have had a lot of success with a lot of having a lot of talent stacked in middle out. I mean, hey, there's worse things to be. There's a lot of running backs available in this scenario too, by the way. Do we want to look at corner? Is this the move? Do we need to go because Tariq Woolen's gone at pick 62. Martin Emerson's sitting out there. Josh Williams out of Fayetteville State, which is another Matty guy. Like, do we just keep stacking up Matty guys? Those are probably two of the best values if you're looking where the Chiefs are sitting there at corner. As far as everything else, Daniel Falele out of Minnesota, the giant behemoth of a right tackle. Chad Muma, the linebacker out of Wyoming. Trey McBride. There's probably some tight ends. I'm wondering if Greg Dulcich is available. He is available as well. So there's some tight end value there. What do you think, Matthew? What you like here?
Listen, if we just go Joshua Williams or Greg Dulcich, then we're just going right down the Maddie's my guys. So, I could tell you the rest of this draft, at least for the rest of day 2, is going to be not great for the Chiefs. Just the way how bad pick 50 line for them. Like, you're going to be reaching, I think, a little bit for a lot of value. I love Joshua Williams. I think 62 is a little earlier than I'd want. And I get it. He might not make it to 94. I fully understand. So I would understand taking him here. I have Joshua Williams a lot closer to Tariq Woolen, like where I'd be willing to draft them than I think like the rest of the world. And maybe not the NFL, but the rest of draft media. It's like, I'm okay with him. I think McBride, Dulcich, either one is a pretty good value here at tight end. It's just not a great spot for the Chiefs. I assume Drake Jackson did come off the board between 50 and 62.
Come off the board.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll let you guys battle this one out right now because it sounds like we're kind of leaning into guys that are my guys or Martin Emerson's. Like, we'll let you guys duke this one out. But I, again, don't love the value here.
I will say that this is too early for Josh Williams for me. If we're talking about Tariq Woolen struggling to get on the field, Josh Williams is going to also struggle. Like, that's a serious step up in competition. Now, he looked fine at the Senior Bowl. Like, there are lots of things that I like about him, namely his length, but I think this is way too early. I don't think he's a second round player. Now watch.
My counterpoint would be I feel better throwing him out there and saying throw hands than I do Tariq Woolen on day 1.
Oh,
I don't
absolutely.
agree that Woolen's not a better player, but if I just threw Josh Williams out there and said, hey, go punch that guy in the mouth for 62 reps.
He's going to do it.
It's going to be bad, but it might go better than if it did with Woolen. That's my only counterpoint. And I think it's too early as well.
It would go better with Martin Emerson than both of those guys on day 1 in that regard.
If we're talking day 1.
I think
don't play man.
I understand. I like the idea of Martin Emerson. I think he's the best value at the cornerback position. I think that's the move here personally. Any big opposition. I think it's fine value. Honestly, I think I like Martin Emerson a little bit more than both of you guys anyway. But I like the move, and I think the Chiefs need to address corner quick.
And I think that this is about the spot for him. I don't think he's going to be around at 94 either. Tight end would be the other position that I would consider here, but with all those guys still on the board, I'm willing to let it fall to 94. So
I think you might be able to catch one at 94. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna go
receiver that would intrigue you. I'm fine with the pick, but is there any, you can write it down? It's Martin Emerson. Is there any receiver though that would tempt you here? John Mechie, perhaps. Is there any receiver?
I love John
at 62.
I love John Mechie. I think you still got to be very intentional about making sure you're grabbing a guy at corner. And I think Martin Emerson can play relatively quickly. And the Chiefs desperately need an influx of talent. It is a pick for need. I won't argue that.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a little bit of a reach for a need because I think he's so scheme specific. And I don't know if the Chiefs are ready to lock themselves into that kind of cover 3 that I think he has to play to excel. But I get it needing a corner. I also think I said Mechie just because the injury pushing them down here. I think him and Sky Moore have the exact same role in any offense. So like it would be pretty redundant to take both of them. They're just kind of the same type of players. So, but
just good football players.
Yeah, good football players. That's the only reason I lobbed his name out there. Let's move on to 94.
We're on to pick 94, and there's a lot of tight ends available here.
Uh-oh.
There is Cade Otton out of Washington, a tight end. Jeremy Ruckert out of Ohio State. I believe he's got a little injury bug that could push him a little bit. Greg Dulcich, also the tight end out of UCLA, is also available. This is no prayer. I'm running to the podium, and I'm grabbing Greg Dulcich here.
Yeah, I would as well. I mean, he's not going to be an inline guy. Like, you're not going to line him up inline, but that's fine. They don't always line Travis Kelce up inline as well. Gives you another guy that can do a little bit of damage, can get some athleticism out there and move. You know, I like Dulcich a lot. I don't know. I get the feeling that he's a very Chiefsy tight end. So I don't know. Maddie, how on board are you with your guy, Greg Dulcich?
I think this is like a solid round later than you would have to take him. So like I would love it here.
Yeah,
think
the value finally fell to the Chiefs for once.
right. So like I'm on board with it. I think Greg Dulcich, I think he blocks better than he gives credit for. I think people see the long flowing hair
I
and
agree.
see all of his plays after the catch and running down the field, and they think that he's just a move tight end, and that's clearly where he excels. But I think there's a lot more inline ability, and it's just good enough, or at least the effort's just good enough that once he gets in the NFL, you hope it kind of, improves. He can take that role from Kelsey. Not that he's going to take over for Travis Kelsey, but if you want to go with a single tight end that's in line, or you even want to do their little split stuff, you don't have to use Kelsey to go block every single play. Let's be real. Kelsey doesn't want to block. You can watch him anymore. He does not want to block. He peels away if he doesn't absolutely have to. Let the young guy go take over and then still be a good receiving threat. So I'm fully on board there.
And Travis Kelsey can play your X here. We don't have an X receiver. Travis Kelsey can be your de facto X here.
Well, yeah, go grab a tight end, so that room is less stale. Did you know most coffee is dull, stale, and questionably sourced? But it's easy to get stuck in a rut and drink what you always have. Instead of standing in front of all the options in your grocery store, let Trade Coffee help you find something new to love. Take the quiz to get started. Trade Coffee guarantees you'll love your first bag, or they'll replace it for free. For our listeners right now, Trade Coffee is offering a total of $20 off your first 3 bags when you go to drinktrade.com/KCSN. That's more than 40 cups of coffee for free. To get started, take that quiz I just talked about at drinktrade.com/KCSN and start your journey to your perfect cup. That's drinktrade.com/KCSN for $20 off your first 3 bags. All right, we're sitting here at pick 103 in this mock draft, this full Chiefs mock draft. We have taken safety, receiver, edge, cornerback, tight end. We are looking here offense. I don't know if this is a situation where you take a best player available. You look at maybe some offensive linemen. I don't know what, like,
I got
from
a
a
theory.
positional standpoint.
I got a theory I just want to ask. Would you rather take a guy that has character concerns at the end of day 2 and hope it gets buried at late in the draft, or in round 3, or lead off your day 3 trick with it? Like, what do you think's better for PR? Leading off day 3 where less people are probably watching, or burying at the end of day 2? Which one do you think is a better PR move for a guy that has character concerns?
Day 3. Because
leading day 3.
You finish day 2, you got to immediately turn around and do a presser about day 2. So you immediately have to answer questions about it.
Right.
Whereas in day 3, you got more dudes to talk about.
As the Chiefs GMs right now, we're crossing our fingers that Sam Williams makes to pick 121. And then we deal with that S storm that comes if he's still available then.
Sam Williams is not available in this scenario.
What? That's wild. The team being riskier than the Chiefs must be the Cowboys. Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be the Cowboys.
Okay. I got some names. Josh Williams probably off the board now. We got a lot of receiving options, and we just talked about how to use Kelsey as an X, or I would have considered somebody like David Bell. I feel like the bad athletic testing might push him to the end of day 2, but we've already invested so heavily in there. So maybe that's not the move. Jalen Armour Davis, I know which mock draft machine we're using, so he's going to still be available. I think this is the back end of his range, though. I don't think this is wildly unrealistic for him to be here. If you wanted to get another corner that I think could play early-ish, who's good in press, who's good versus man, I think he's a name worth considering at this point in time.
Let's do it, because I think, I like it. I like that move. I think that's a good one. I know like there's some injury concerns about him that might, raise some questions, some durability questions. I think this is a guy that, can potentially be a really quality corner, quality special teamer early on in his career. I like the move. Jalen Armour Davis out of Alabama. I'm good with that move. Craig, are you good with that move? He's turning to right down.
That move. No, listen, you give yourself a little bit of a safer guy in Martin Emerson, while Jalen Armour Davis, with the injury history, like you needed dudes in your cornerback room. Brett Veach does not typically invest in the cornerback room at this spot, but the way that the boards fell, I actually think that this probably, alongside the tight ends, probably decent value for these two guys. If you walked away in day 2 with Martin Emerson and Jalen Armour Davis, I'm going to be pretty happy about that, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a good little room there. And they need it. They need numbers there. So we're going to pick 121. I think this is double dip territory again, potentially for wide receiver. Maddie, I think that could be in play.
Who's some names that you like?
You want to know something? I think this is about where I'd start thinking about Justin Ross as a big X type receiver. The injury history, obviously, he's kind of had a weird up and down career. But this is a guy that can win outside, a big body guy that wins above the rim. He's, getting farther and farther away from the neck injury that almost ended his career. I know he didn't come back the exact same like he was his freshman season, but I think this is an interesting guy here and kind of fits that physical profile of an X type guy. Double dipping on Clemson receivers on day 3, I guess is my guess here. Eric Ezukanma out of Texas Tech also available in this scenario. I think we're probably a little bit higher on him than most people are in the KCSN draft guide, but another big bodied physical dude. Maybe not a true X either, though, because I think he can kind of operate in the slot a little bit as well, Maddie.
Yeah, I think both those guys would be definite options if the Chiefs are looking for an X. I think Zakanma is he's more of a yards after the catch guy with some ability to win vertically and contested catches. Ross is a more traditional X receiver, but Ross, number one, a lot of injuries starting to pile up there. And that athletics testing profile is really, really bad. And I don't know if you have enough film to say he can win a lot with that athletic profile. If he's lost a step, his film from this past year is barely worth this pick, right? It's it's a lot of risk in my opinion, to go for him. I'm not against it. I'm hearing you on wide receiver, and I'll let Craig get his idea. I'm thinking about edge though. What if we go for our higher upside edge at this spot? Like, is a Dominique Robinson out of Miami of Ohio available?
So is Alex Wright.
And then Alex Wright. If they're both available, I think taking Pascal gives you the ability to take the bigger swing. And I think Robinson's the bigger swing. I think he's the more athletic guy. He has a higher absolute ceiling, especially because he's on the Gregory Rousseau path. Late switch from wide receiver to defensive end, started to churn out some production, this final year at Miami of Ohio, even after the COVID year, which really messed with their season. I think he's got burst, bend, he's got it all. It's just, can he put it together? So I think he's a guy that I would look at in this spot too, just if you wanted to get that higher upside edge guy.
Man, this is they're not mirror images of players, but a mirror image of trying to take, a guy last year that was a little bit more of a project with a high upside, being able, and Josh Kando, taking him in the 4th round and saying, we're going to try and train this guy, try and bring him up. Yeah, I like that move. You've got 2 swings on athletic profile. You've got 2 swings on that style of player now in the room, and you've got a solid baseline. You're going to be worse at edge. It's not like all of a sudden you're going to be super awesome. But man, if you were looking at the future, which you're in day 3, you're largely looking at the future, then yeah, I'm completely on board with Robinson.
All right, let's do it. Dominic Robinson, edge out of Miami, Ohio, is the pick at 121. Like Maddie said, former wide receiver. It's a worthy swing. And, I think we're insulating ourselves and giving ourselves multiple swings at these key positions. And I really like that. We haven't done it for receiver yet, but at the same time, we've also grabbed 2 pass catchers because we've grabbed Greg Dulcich as well. So I like the way the board's played out, and we went best player. We were still able to do all this and go best player available. I know we're not satisfied necessarily with where all these guys were selected in some of these picks, but at the same time, I think this is a relatively realistic scenario that we've just created. And I feel very good about where this draft has gone to this point. We're sitting at 131.
Fun fact, Dominic Robinson, high fit for Steve Spagnuolo. Not elite, not perfect fit, but high fit because of his weight. But his pro day weight is actually over Steve Spagnuolo's threshold. So I just went with the combine numbers. Combine, I believe he came in the 250s, almost low 250s, but come pro day, he was up at 263. So, just worth noting that he's flirting right there around that idea of, adding some weight and stuff. So in terms of Spags fit, he's a guy that, you don't get too many project defensive ends that fit Steve Spagnuolo's profile, because guys that show athleticism at that size go quickly. They go early.
Yeah.
They got Kando last
Joshua
year.
Kando,
Yeah,
Dominique Robinson. Like,
right? You don't get many of them. So it's
This
worth
is the
noting.
range.
It's pretty rare.
All right, so we're sitting at pick 135. I think you could look at tackle here. I think that's a spot that you might want to look at. And Cordell Volson's not a tackle. He's probably a guard, but he has that guard tackle flexibility. And maybe he could stick up in a pinch at right tackle, similar to how Andrew Wiley has been able to hold up well there. I really like Cordell Volson a lot here. Matt Waletzko, I don't know if this is a my guy for Maddie, but like I know he loves Matt Waletzko out of North Dakota. Max Mitchell out of Louisiana is a guy I really like. Some interesting candidates. Zach Tom out of Wake Forest here as well. Do you want to look at tackle here? Do you like the move of tackle? I think this is a sweet spot where you go try to find a developmental tackle that might be able to, potentially contribute at right tackle quicker than we're, anticipating. So I think some of these guys potentially could be that.
I'll let you guys find it out. I'm okay with your wide receiver move of the Justin Rosses variety if you want to go that route, or if you want to go tackle. I like all the guys mentioned. Yes, but let's go was another Matty, my guy. He'd be my number one. I think Max Mitchell, I don't remember Andy Reid's preference on arm length for offensive tackles. So I think Max Mitchell's arm length might not, 33.5 inches. That should actually be fine, right? No, short?
Nope.
I think it's short. I think it was like 34 and an eighth or
that is
quarter.
78th percentile.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Listen, we
but
talked about how Andy was a little bit of a size queen last year. So, I mean,
right. No, I get it. And that's what I'm trying to quickly look. So, let's go. Apps. Oh my God. Well, let's go with 36-inch vines. Put them on the board.
There we go.
Put him on the board.
Do we want to do him, or do we want to look at wide receiver? Because I think by the time you circle back around,
you're not getting either one of these. Yeah, you're not getting value in either one of these. So you have to decide: are you bringing in the guy to compete with Wiley and Niang at right tackle, or are you trying to bring in a guy that you hope develops and competes with Powell and Gordon and Corey Coleman to be your X?
Go get Matt Waletzko. Let's go get Matt Waletzko. I feel very strongly about this, and Matty is just reigning supreme in this draft. Matt Waletzko, offensive tackle out of North Dakota, 36-inch fines.
He's got his ankles look like wrists. It's like that's my only concern is like he doesn't look like what the Chiefs' new offensive line looks like. He's very linear, very kind of skinny jointed, which is a thing. Like if you have skinny ankles as an offensive tackle, it bothers me. Yeah, that's why I was leaning towards Max Mitchell. But I mean, we're talking 3-inch difference in reach here. Like we know where Andy's going.
I think Max Mitchell's a sneaky guy that could wind up playing right tackle quickly for somebody. Like that's the only thing for me. I was like, I honestly think he might. Like I think if the Chiefs draft Max Mitchell in the 4th round, they might be getting a right tackle starter.
I wanted to force that move in there just because like he fits with Trey Smith, with Creed Humphrey, with what they're doing on the offensive line. He fits better. But Andy Reid is very specific about the length. I like let's go better and just overall as a prospect. So like I'm fine either way. It was just, and this makes a much more difficult name for Craig to have to spell out. But Max Mitchell definitely is an interesting name. I would be happy if the Chiefs took Max Mitchell there too. Same with Zach Tom. I think he has some same issues as Waletzko, just being a little less powerful, but like I get the athletic profile and wanted to take him.
It's the length. It's the length element of it. I mean, we've seen that with Orlando Brown. This would fit. Like Lucas Niang has, super long vines for arms as well. So it matters. We know we've heard Jeff Allen talk about it before that King Dunlap is Andy Reid's favorite offensive tackle. I mean, King Dunlap is a freakishly large human with super long arms as well. If Andy Reid is spending assets on a tackle, we have seen him time and time again invest in length. I know everybody points to, the point that Mitchell Schwartz has shorter arms, but like, I mean, we've heard Jeff Allen say that on his podcast, talk about it multiple times before that. Listen, he valued this length and he valued guys like King Dunlap until Mitch Schwartz came available. But if he's got a guy that he's projecting to, I mean, I can't remember. That was like 4 or 5 weeks ago that Jeff even said that. So it's out there. Andy Reid likes it, but he wants the length. He wants the guys that fit his standards. We know the coaching staff is going to go out of their way to draft guys that fit their standards. They're spending a pick. They're not going to sacrifice for it. just like you shouldn't sacrifice your liquor purchasing by going to Macadoodles, coming to Kansas City in summer of 2022. Great selection, great pricing, and absolutely perfect customer service. They're going to set you up with exactly what you want. If Andy Reid were to walk in there, they would somehow find a way to find an offensive tackle with 34 and an 1/8 inch arms or longer. They are going to set him up perfectly. So we need lots of these all over Kansas City, all over the Midwest. If you're a franchisee, get a hold of Roger, info@macadoodles.com, and get one that is exactly what you want in your local area, just like Andy Reid wants length at the offensive tackle position.
We are in the best time of this mock draft because
All right,
Maddie
you
has
guys
to
can
make...
speed run this now.
We got to make some round 7 picks. The Chiefs have 4. I think let's go run through some of these really quick. What position you want to go through, Maddie? What you like? You want to go try to grab a receiver?
You should pick whoever your favorite guy is. Like Craig will pick his favorite potential round 7 guy. Everybody just take.
I got mine.
Velus Jones is gone.
He is gone. He's going to be gone. Unfortunately, my guy in the draft.
Velus Jones is confirmed gone. I'm gonna go with a wide receiver that I bet he sticks. It's Dontario Drummond out of Ole Miss, a big physical wide receiver, one of the biggest guys, powerful density in this class, willing blocker, tough catch guy, tough contested catch type guy. He's gonna catch through contact. Really solid football player. I think he's got a kind of the right mentality to play special teams, which I think he's going to have to if he's going to want to stick in the National Football League. But I bet he sticks. And if you are looking for golf clubs, check out Sticks. They are wonderful. I've been talking about them for like the last year. I've been kind of getting into golf over the last few years. I needed something. Different than what I had, that basic set. This set performs like all the big brands that you're always thinking about, but at half the price. They are an incredible value. They're the best value in golf. I found them. I've loved them. Go to sticks.golf. Use promo code KCSN10. You'll get 10% off your club order just by using that promo code. Go to sticks.golf and use promo code KCSN10 to get your set of sticks. You will not regret making that choice. We're going Dontario Drummond, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss, pick 233. Matthew, are we letting Craig go first? Are you wanting Craig to go first?
Well, he writes, I'll filibuster real quick. Is Terrell Bernard available, linebacker out of Baylor? I don't know.
Yes, he is.
We are taking Terrell Bernard, linebacker out of Baylor. He is not the size that Steve Spagnuolo usually likes at his linebacker position, but he has a little bit of length. He's a guy that has played a little bit of safety in the past. He's a guy that long, fast, has that coverage ability. He's only sub 220 pounds. So he's a smaller guy. He's going to have to put on some weight in the NFL, but 4'5", 940, pretty explosive guy, good change of direction ability. I think he's a guy that can come in. He's smart. He's been considered one of the leaders of Baylor's defense, under Dave Aranda for the past 2 seasons. He can come in and attempt to start to replace some of those Ben Neiman type roles, backup linebacker, play on some coverage downs, give you a lot of special teams. He's full of energy, very leader guy. It's a good round 7 pick when you're going to get the floor of a high character and a special teams player. If he develops into more, that's great. I think he has the coverage ability to be a special teams plus type of player if he gets on the defensive side. So we'll go Terrell Bernard, linebacker out of Baylor, just to get some more speed on the second level of that defense.
Ben Neiman's
I'm going
back.
No, he's not. Hang on. Not because Terrell Bernard's there, and because I'm also drafting Reed Blankenship to fill
his name's Zane Anderson.
No, to fill more of a special teams role. Reed Blankenship is going to be there. Listen, Dave Tope is going to have an influence on this, and Steve Spagnuolo needs more in his safety room. Even though we drafted Lewis Cine and you got Justin Reed, Juan Thornhill, they still need some more dudes. You want to take more swings on that. Reed Blankenship is a very safe option. Smart guy, going to be able to run your special teams unit. And in a pinch, in some too high looks, he's going to be able to play. He's a pretty good tackler. He's been a guy that's played for a lot of years, played a lot of football, and he loves football. And we know how much this team loves guys that love football. At this point in the draft, like if Blankenship is there, which I assume he is because Kent hasn't stopped me from going through all of this. I just think that he's an easy one to add to this team because he's probably going to stick. Like he really is. Not another ad there, but probably going to stick on the roster because of his special teams ability.
Sticks.golf. We're going to go grab a running back to close this thing out. I just
pour one out for the nose tackle dream.
Yeah, sorry. We're going to go.
Very angry with you right now.
We're going to go.
He was about to hear his name drafted.
Fine, we'll go to
tackle.
We'll go to interior defensive line. We'll go look at a freaking nose tackle for Maddie. Who do you want? Do you want
Christopher Hinton out of Michigan?
All right, go for it. Tell us about him.
I think I did. He's a 310-pound nose tackle that played at Michigan. He played a little bit of kind of like their 4-5 tech as well as a defensive tackle. Excellent two-gapper. He's a little over 32-inch arms, which is decent for a defensive tackle, but his ability to extend guys off his body, peek over their shoulder, and escape either direction is really good. Watching him two-gap did remind me a little bit of Derek Nottie at Florida State. You can just very clearly see how he plays with leverage, extension, and his ability to play both sides of a blocker. So I think Christopher Hinton is a good guy to kind of get in the chamber to pair with Tershawn Wharton, Taylor Stallworth, Colin Saunders, like all these other guys that are a little bit more this penetration upfield style. You do in today's NFL need guys that can plug up versus the run. Christopher Hinton can do that. Again, he can be kind of that backup to Derek Nottie, I think.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for the KC Laboratory. Thank you so much for listening. It's been a lot of fun putting this 12-pick mock draft together.
Look at all those my guys.
I know. Maddie's beaming right now. Thank you guys so much. I'll catch you later.